All right, so let's talk about the Earth cards now. So let's start with the Mono Earth cards because I think we're probably going to spend some time talking about Mono Earth. Let's get out of the way with Ingus and Lich. So Ingus 60p EX 9k, but he's cost reduced by one for each backup Earth backup you control. So one CP when you've fully ramped out, right?
Hmm.
EX Burst, when Ingus enters the field, you can search for an Earth forward other than card name Ingus and add it to your hand. And then also just read out Lich, 5 CP 9k. If you control 7 or more Earth characters, Lich gains when he's put from the field into the break zone. You can discard a card and basically play him again. And when he enters the field, and this isn't tied to the 7 or more Earth characters, when he enters the field, you choose a forward opponent controls, and it gains at the end of each of your turns, break this forward. So even if it's like unbreakable, then the next turn it'll break basically, or the next your turn, it'll eventually end up breaking. Um, yeah, so I guess Ingus just generic good searcher, one CP EX, search a card. There isn't too much to say about that. I kind of wanted to more so talk about Mono Earth in general. Um, I know Emmanuel, you kind of played around a little bit more with that. Um,
Yep. I think these cards made me a lot so excited for Mono Earth. I know it was more or less an established deck last set, where Earth monsters were a thing. Um, and Ingus is just exactly what Mono Earth wanted, right? It's a one CP effectively, right? Because it's a deck that ramps backups very quickly. It's effectively like a 1-2 CP search any Earth card. So basically, just replaces what's his face, Gabranth, the one that searches 5 or more, with EX. I have no idea why this card has EX, by the way.
I I was playing in Returners this week, and I accidentally topped this card with Refia and then swung because I didn't think that it had an EX. Like
No,
I don't know why it has an EX.
no,
I just
this card.
assumed that it was balanced. I don't know.
Yeah, I do like that it's per Earth backup, not Earth character. So that forces you
Mhm.
into having a more like ramp style play style. But any surge 9k potentially being at one cost is kind of insane. It's funny that it doesn't. I know that our limit is 5 backups in the game, but Ingus's text doesn't specifically say that he can't cost less than one. So maybe in the future, if we get a card that lets us play more than 5 backups, it could be free.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, it's just an overall win, right? Warrior of Light, Earth, 9k search anything. And then Lich is just insane, right? So Mono Earth last set was trying to abuse Leonis, who plays 5 costs, no, 6 costs or less from your break zone. And he is reduced by one for every Earth character you control. These 2 cards are playable by him. Um, and the fact that now you have extremely good rewards for playing Montleonis, in which you can do insane things like, pay one for pay one for Ingus, search Montleonis, then play Montleonis, and get that Lich from your break zone. So there's a lot of scary lines of play that you can do in Mono Earth. Lich is, I think, the best reward out of the Stranger of Paradise forwards. The fact that he basically becomes unkillable when you have 7 or more Earth characters, the fact that he comes into play not dull for
Oh my
some
god.
godforsaken reason, he comes into play active. Like I was saying, so the problem with that deck is that you're playing a ton of backups because you want to ramp into backups, right? So you play stuff like Miner, you play the Morsis Soiree backups to get into 5, and you play Claris, and you're like, all right, it's a bunch of stuff that I want to get into 5, but then I draw garbage, right? If I draw
Yeah.
2 backups. And Lich says, no, don't worry, you can discard those to make me just come back into the field. Um, I would be very surprised if Mono Earth doesn't make a splash on the meta just um, 2 cards. So Very excited. This is, I think, the deck I'm most excited to actually, the second deck most excited to play. The first one is Mono Lightning. So, very excited.
So, what I'm excited for is the rest of the cycle. So, Ingus is the second 6-mana EX 9K with an EX burst effect that gets 1 cheaper for each backup you have of color. The first one, of course, being Ash. So it's pretty cool to see the parallels there. Ash, of course, defining the mono water playstyle, and this similarly is going to define mono earth. So really cool. Really excited to see what else they think up, because I feel like it's going to be like a super cycle. There is a rain, the mono red rain. It gets 1 cheaper for each fire backup, but it doesn't have an EX burst. It doesn't have a 9K, so I'm hesitant to include it in my 2 card cycles so far.
I think you bring up a good point. This set kind of completed that cycle in a sense. We had water, we had fire, and we had, what was the other one that reduced? Oh, rain, fire. So now we have earth. We have lightning. Wait, do we have an ice card? Is ice just not?
No, ice doesn't have one.
Okay.
But I feel like ice is one of the colors that really wants you to play mono ice. So
100%.
It's like I hope it comes soon.
Eventually, we will get a mono ice backup engine, and then also the mono ice, backup payoff.
Yeah.
I feel like Hobby Japan is kind of scared of us playing mono ice. So they're like, you get a reward for every other color, but ice, you're gonna have to wait a little bit for that.
Yeah, but they gave us Griever and Ultimacia, so
I
can't complain.
Yeah.
If only Griever had an EX burst, then it would be part of the cycle. And if it was cheaper for every ice backup.
Oh my god, stop.
Can you imagine? I'm good. I'm good.
No wonder they don't print that shit. Alright. Anything else?
But nothing else. No, nothing else to add. That you guys haven't already said. Just wanted to point out the cool parallel between the Ash and the Ingus, because they're both colors that, of course, want to play out, max out the backup line early, and then reward you for it. So very cool designs. Yeah.
I don't have too much else to say either. So let's move on to Pat's favorite card of the set? ? Oh shit! No. That's Ursula.
Not yet. Well, I do. I do like this upcoming card as well.
All right. Well, we'll talk about Neo-X stuff, and then we'll talk about Pat's favorite card. All right. So Exdeath 8 CP 10K forward Cat 5 job none. Weird. Exdeath is also Exdeath, right? Brave. When Exdeath enters the field, choose 2 backups you control, remove them, and all the forwards and monsters opponent controls from the game. So monsters is the huge, like the really big text on here that we haven't seen before. I almost feel like all of the other text on the card does not matter other than 8 CP board wipe, because this is going to be probably the last card that you play in a lot of matches that you're playing this, right? I don't even know why it needs Brave.
It's like Ultimacia not being able to be targeted by summons. They just needed one more keyword in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a trinket text.
Trinket text. Good one.
Yeah, I mean, importantly, remove the backups you control from the game means that this does not work with Ignis, unfortunately. But, I mean, this is pretty much the only... Do we have any other monster board wipes before this?
No, I think this was the first one, which is why I was so excited for it.
It's a dark card, Sin.
Except for what?
Oh, yeah. The dark Sin that deals you with damage and destroy all... Yeah.
Yeah, but it's break. It's not removed from the game, right? So, I mean, I don't know if I can talk much about this card. Anything that people won't immediately see. I think if you're playing Earth, you have the option to tailor your deck into monster heavy decks, if they become a thing, Earth has a bunch of board wipes, right? So you could say, oh, it's just adding into the board wipes that Earth has. But the fact that this guy targets monsters means that if monster decks become a problem in the future, you have a card that gets rid of them. It is very costly, I will say that. Like, you remove 2 backups from the game is not a trivial cost. That is very high. But I think the reward is you basically just win the game on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you said Ingus, but actually this works so well with Ingus, because if you're at 5 backups, you pay 1 for Ingus and search this.
No. The Cat 15 Ignis, right?
Oh, Ignis.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah,
okay. I'm like, no, brother, I'm playing both.
No. I'm saying Ingus, the Cat 3 card that we just got, is really, really good with this. Like, you play like one of this, and then other, generic board wipes, like either Shadow Lord or Titan or whatever. And then, if you need to pay for the cheaper one, you do. And then if you need to board wipe monsters, then you do. Like, I see this almost as like a tech card for like the matchups that you need this in.
Yeah, I think in Mono Earth, this card shines so much because Mono Earth plays a lot of backups that are unbreakable to ramp backups. So if we're talking about like the Morse Soiree card, Claris, and all that stuff, and sometimes you want a little room to play stuff like the 2CP Searches Monsters, right? And this kind of like makes room for that stuff as well. So it's like an added benefit that this card has. It just takes all your backups that are 2 backups that are like stuck in your back row and gets rid of them, and you can board wipe with them and then just play like better backups later. Backups with entry effects, right? And stuff like that. And it's just a good card, man. I just don't have much to say about it. I think they were very... I'm just so interested about the design of this card because it is a lightning name. Sorry, it is an earth name Exdeath, which means that the mannequin's backups don't reduce its cost because the mannequin backups specifically a lightning card named Exdeath. So they were very careful with that text, right? Very, very, very careful with that text. So I find that fascinating. It gives me a good feeling about the design team future proofing a lot of the cards. So
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even consider that.
Yeah. Also, Cat 5 means that this is like less relevant, but Krile can get this back from the break zone for some reason. So
EX Burst, get Neo Exdeath. Your
right? Yeah, you're like, it sounds kind of weird, but it's like, wait, hold on. EX Burst get a board wipe from my break zone and kind of win me a game.
Yeah. All right. I don't think there's too... you're going to mention that?
Well, I was going to say, like, explore it in things outside Mono Earth. Like, it's a tyroable board wipe, right? I mean, Shantotto costs 7. This costs 1 more. I bet I happily pay 1 more for this effect. Than Shantotto, and we play Shantotto and everything.
Right.
So, like, I feel like it has legs outside of Mono Earth too. Like, you can just.
It absolutely does. It's just since it removes backups, it kind of like sets your board back, whereas Shantotto increases your board. Right, she gives you a backup.
Yeah.
Like, given like if I had like a choice between like in my deck, I had Shantotto and this, and then you can Tyro for this. Like, that just seems really good.
Yeah. I think Mono Earth with monsters and just having Shantotto and this is just excruciating for a lot of decks because you just won't build a board ever while I keep building my board with untargetable forwards and then just finish the game with this guy. So very good.
And just another design note, I just really like anytime they print answers to things, so I really appreciate things like this, like a more accessible monster wipe. Especially as monsters are becoming more and more prevalent in the meta.
As more and more people are realizing how good, like, Blue Worm is.
Yeah. Like, I feel like you need to answer.
Forward is good, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, all right. Not much else to say. So, let's move on now, actually, to Pat's favorite card of the set, ? Ursula. So she's a 2 CP 5k monk. So you're not going to be playing this probably with monks because of the other Ursula, but she's brave. When she ETBs, she gains a crystal, and then she has 2 crystal action abilities. So one is she just gains 3k, and the other one is during this turn, all the forwards you control cannot be chosen by EX bursts. I think this card's like whatever, you know. I mean, it's a 2 CP forward that gains a crystal, which is all right. 5k is a little weak, but like I don't think I would ever really use a crystal to protect her. But you know, I think the forwards cannot be you control cannot be chosen by EX bursts is going to be really annoying for some aggro decks. So I know you two both have a lot more to say about this card than I do, because I think this card's cute more than anything. But
I'll let
Yeah.
Max go first because
Yeah. So in the
Yep.
the Opus 20 Tifa deck I mentioned earlier, we got Princess Sarah as backup protection, and then Ursula is here as a Tyro searchable EX burst protection, which is exactly what the deck needed. And on top of that, like Princess Sarah is single target for its ability. The fact that this is like AoE, like it affects your entire forward board, is so good because the deck is so glass cannony. You need Barret on the field to give haste. You need Tifa, of course, so that she can attack over and over again. Like the fact that this is just like a 2 CP, like the fact that it's a forward doesn't matter. It could have just been a summon that says during this turn, your forwards, the forwards you control can't be selected by EX burst. Like if it was just that, it would be the same card to me. That it gets you the crystal, and I spend it immediately to get Tifa protected, so she can go in for 7 in 1 turn. I love this card, and
Yep.
it's I put 3 right into my the Tifa deck. So be on the lookout for that, Chris.
Oh no.
I'm gonna mirror. So we're gonna talk about another card I just added into the presentation because I think you kind of have to talk about that card when to talk about this card. Immediately, I dismissed her because I was like, oh, why would I play this Ursula when I have the 4 CP Ursula? If you're playing monks, for sure you're playing 4 CP Ursula. Like, there's no con. But if you're playing an aggressive deck, which the next card that we're going to talk about enables, this card is a shoo-in. I was very low on it, and I've been very surprised with it. So when we talk about the next card, I'll talk a little bit more about Ursula, but very surprised about this card. Better than I thought. Not going to be like a shoo-in on every deck, but for very aggressive decks, if you have Earth on it, there is absolutely no reason not to run this card, I think. Not in monks, though. Please don't play this in monks.
I think they're cowards for not printing this at 1 CP so that Bart Spoka could search it.
No.
That would be so good.
Cowards.
I just want to
gain a crystal, do a million things, sure.
All right.
I just wanted to reminisce about, I think it was like a 3-week time frame where I only played that Tifa deck.
Yep.
As like when it was spoiled.
I had to play against it. Yep.
I spent like 3 weeks tuning it, and it just wasn't working. So I'm so happy that this and the Princess Sarah are out, because I think with these additions, it can actually be more than just a tier 4 meme. Tier 3.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you want to talk about, you added,
yeah, I had a Galuf.
Okay. The slideshow didn't update right away.
I want to talk about this card.
Yes, let's talk about Galuf. 4 CP 8k, forwards of cost 2 or less. It's a lord for 2k for forwards of cost 2 or less. When he ETBs, reveal the top 5 and play 1 forward of cost 2 or less onto the field, and put the others on the bottom. He also does have a relevant special, S and tap for deal 8k to a forward. Yeah, you go ahead, Emmanuel.
I really like this card. It's a very well-designed card. It's balanced. It's not overpowered. Right, cost 2 or less is pretty narrow, but we were talking about aggressive decks before, right? We were talking about Snow, we're talking about Red Mage, we're talking about Last Will, and all those cards that cost 2 and you want to be aggressive. This card just fits right in, right? Because it's not limited by color. It gives you a nice little power buff, but the most important part is it represents 2 bodies for 1 card if you build your deck around it. Obviously, the thing that they intended is they have that Ursula on it, right? So you can play that Ursula with this Galuf and have some EX protection for the aggression that you're going for. So basically, if you play this into Ursula, you have an 8K and a 7K and protection from EX for 4 CP, which is really good. It's not. I don't think it's like a good tier, but again, it opens up so many deck building possibilities. It is a category 5. It's so it's recurable by Krile. It has an S ability. This is the type of card design that I really enjoy seeing. A lot of text, maybe some of it a little narrow, but it enables deck building outside of just put good cards in a deck, right? So one of my favorite cards of the set for sure.
There's the other card that pumps 2 or less, right? The Light Maria.
Maria, yeah.
Oh yeah, and she costs 2. So if you want to be like a real lord, right? You play Galuf and Maria, but I've been doing is playing 2 CP Aerith, the one that buffs every other 4 2K. So if you have this and Aerith, all your weenies are like 9Ks. So it's
pretty good actually.
It's kind of fun. It's fun. Like, I'm not saying it's good. It's just fun, and that's why this game thrives. Even your fun mini decks are can compete against the big things.
I really appreciate all of these engine cards that they're making now having like S abilities, right? Like you want to run like all of these. We'll talk about Warrior Light, for example, later. We want to run 3 of these engine cards that are like build-arounds. So I really appreciate that they give them S abilities, right? It was the same thing with Cecil last set.
Yeah, it doesn't punish you for drawing into more.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Anything else to mention, or? All right. Let's move on then to Tulien. So 3 CP, warrior, 7K. If a forward you control deals battle damage, so specifically battle damage to a forward, it increases by 2K. He has an action ability, choose a forward. Until end of turn, it gains this forward must attack once per turn if possible, and this forward must block if possible. You can only use it once per turn. So it's interesting because it's both. It's like a provoke effect, but both for your turn and your opponent's turn. So this really rewards you for like having lords up. Obviously, I think the big thing is that being a warrior, I feel like we just probably don't have enough. Like we were talking about not having enough warriors for Tyvis before. We definitely don't have enough Earth warriors, I don't think, to build Fire Earth. But this is one of those cards that is just going to be on our radar for future sets, I feel like.
Yeah, Fire. So Earth has like also a backup standard unit warrior, which I think was their intention. You play the fire guy, you play this guy, you play the backup one. I think combat has become a little more irrelevant in the game per se, so I don't know. But I do like forcing your opponent to do things, so I'll keep my eye on for this card. Very hard to judge outside of Warriors, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just did a quick search for like what warriors there are in the game. There are a lot of Fire Earth ones. I don't know if they're good, but there's a lot of them.
Let me see. Job warrior in Fire and Earth. Or I guess let me search Earth specifically. Because if we're playing Tyvis, we're for sure. Oh, I didn't know Sonon was actually a warrior. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like great cards is the thing. So like Sonon is the best card I see on here, and it's an Earth Lightning card, right? So
Yeah.
we did get a new Have as well that I guess I didn't put on the slides, but it's I don't think it's saving Fire Earth Warriors. So
Mhm. Yeah, but just start because I didn't
Yeah.
even know.
I didn't know either, honestly.
Yeah.
I remember doing the search when I first saw this card and then being like, oh, no, okay. And then, tucking it away. All right. Let's talk about Titan. So the hero the hero summon for Earth. You can only cast it. You can only pay for it with Earth CP. And you can do one of two things: either deal 9k to something, or break a dull forward. Yeah, I mean it reads pretty good. I don't know if Mono Earth needs a card like this. So Emmanuel, you probably would know a little better than me.
I think this is very good with stuff like Men in Black. So like
Oh,
the old Lightning Earth deck
yeah.
kind of likes this because combined with certain Odins, you kind of like have global removal for anything.
Is the
So
Earth CP a worry?
So the deck is mostly Earth. With I think Lightning is the splash color for that deck. So
Okay.
it could be, but the effect is good enough to consider.
Mm-hmm.
So good. I think, in my opinion, good card.
Okay.
I think it could have benefited from an EX burst.
I feel like everything can benefit from EX burst.
Yeah, I just mean like, especially because one of the modes is choose a dull forward, right? Like
Yeah, that is true.
You can counter that, and then like with the casting restriction, like I don't think pushing it with the EX would have been too egregious.
Mm-hmm.
But I with that being said, I think it's a fine summon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. The next card, Qiqirn. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So another standard unit backup. ETB reveal top 5 and add a forward from them. So it's kind of like minor, but for forwards instead of backups. And the sack ability is 2 earth and 1 colorless. Tap sack for choose a dull forward and break it. I like all the text on this card. I think pretty much like, every Earth deck, or I guess most decks in general are playing, more than 18 forwards. So this is going to be live in most decks, right? The tap sack ability seems pretty good. I don't know if 3CP might be too much, but like, just like threatening to kill attackers seems pretty good. I don't know. I like all the text on this card.
Yeah, same. This is going to be live in 99% of decks.
Yeah.
I think what I'm most excited for this card, even though it's dumb, it's a Mobius card. So
oh yeah.
For Mobius decks that use what's her face, the 5 CP that draws 2 Mobius cards.
Yeah.
Elena?
Maya or
Maya. Yeah, Maya.
Yeah.
So
Maya.
When trying to make that card work, the problem is that there's not enough Mobius backups, right? So you have to run like a bunch of forwards, and the backups that they have are all named, and they're kind of meh. This card is like we run 3 of in that deck, right? So, and otherwise, this is always gonna be live. I think it's always a 1 CP backup. Is it the backup that you want? I'm not sure because it searches forwards. And maybe Earth is trying to ramp backups more than it's trying to search forwards. It has a lot of forward searching, so maybe it doesn't need this. But it's a good card to have otherwise. It's always going to be relevant, I think.
Yeah. Pat, do you have anything else to...
Nope. That was everything. It's a great backup.
Yeah, there's not too much else to say.
I mean, I think going back to the tap sack that you were talking about, I think it's it's really good. Yeah, as you said, just keeping it up and just threatens like their next attacker is basically not getting through.
I mean, we've
Which-
had a good amount of like brave attackers with like Wall, Bosch, Galuf and stuff like that. But even just stuff like this kills Refia on the stack, right? Like I feel like the tap sack is like actually surprisingly really good. For not saying sack a draw card like most of the other versions of these say.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I am curious about because like I just noticed this now because we did them back to back, but the Titan one also targeted dull forward, similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
Earth hasn't had that before, right? Like Earth hasn't been specific to dull or active or anything in the past.
Yeah.
That seems new.
Yeah, no. Since like Opus 1, Mustadio breaks a dull forward.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm just forgetting everything.
No worry.
All right. So let's talk about Krile. Again, not too much to say about this. 2CP backup. She is a wall for what it matters. Cat 5. When she ETBs, you can discard a summon. When you do so, choose a forward, deal it 8k. She has 2 earth and tap sack for add a summon from your break zone to your hands. My first thought is just, Chaos Arc card. I remember Viridian mentioned a little bit about like, she's a reactive card. Kind of similar to Cisne, I think was the one that does something kind of similar. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're running a name Krile in walls, you're not running this card though. So
the best text on this card is the job.
Really?
I mean, it's Warrior of Light, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think everything else is bad.
Really? Well, but like, sorry. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically if you're running an Earth X Warrior of Light deck that doesn't run summons or runs very few summons, and you're like saying, okay, maybe my 4 CP Krile will not get me anything back a lot of the time, so I'd rather just pay 2 for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you run it, and also because the face is really funny. Out your opponent. That's the only situation where I would see this card played.
Would you not run this in Chaos Arc?
Would I not run it in Chaos Arc? I think depends on the colors, right?
Well, I'm thinking Earth Lightning Chaos Arc.
We have a lightning card that does this better.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
It is
the Cisne.
No, Gestalian Empire Sid.
But this I'm saying because this kills something, right? As opposed to being the recur.
Does it kill something? I don't
know. Fair. AK isn't a huge benchmark.
Maybe I consider it there for sure,
mm-hmm.
But then you have to consider if I'm running Krile, do I want a sack outlet for getting my arc back and a way to discard cards, or do I just want to straight up get my arc back to my hand with the 4 CP Krile? Okay. I don't know. I think there might be consideration. I'm not sure.
All right, that's fair. I guess is there anything else to mention here?
I want more of this art.
Fair. All right. I think the last Earth card, right? Yes. So the last Earth card we'll talk about is Dark Knight. 3 CP standard unit, multiplayable 6k. For each point of damage you've received, it gets plus 1k. All right. Crystal tap, choose a forward, break it, no condition. Dark Knight deals you 1 point of damage. Also pretty good in a color that's playing Tyro and Kusith. I don't know. I didn't see anybody talking about this card, which is kind of why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, I don't know. It just I think that, I mean, the big problem is that it doesn't have haste, right? So it doesn't do anything the turn it comes out. But I mean, I like all the other text on it, so I like dealing myself damage in Earth. Unconditional break's good. Earth having some, I don't know. Does Earth have any other like good crystal outlets? I mean, Rebel consumes one crystal, but not like repeated. I mean,
I think this is a really strong common standard unit.
Yeah.
If we're looking at rarities, which we haven't done in this conversation, but
Mhm.
if we're looking just at like power level per rarity, it's pretty strong actually. It's maybe the best Dark Knight we've gotten with this text of for each damage you gain something, right? Because even at damage 3 or 4, this is a 9k, 10k for 3,
Yeah.
which is pretty decent. It sucks that it doesn't gain you a crystal.
Mhm.
I think in limited, this card is going to be great for sure. I obviously don't foresee any standard play for this, but we talked about jokingly in commoner if it becomes like a real format. I would definitely consider this card. It's pretty. It has a lot of good text for a common, in my opinion.
Yeah. I guess anything else to add, Pat?
I can't believe you were asking for Earth Crystal payoffs and you forgot about Ursula. We were just talking about it. How could you, Chris? But I mean, a quick cursory search, like while we're on the topic of other Earth payoffs for crystals, there is the O15 Kefka that you can pay 3 crystals to just like kill a third of their forwards, which is like not really a payoff. But that's like the only other thing I could see. Yeah. But yeah, back to this card. I think it's cool. I like that all the Dark Knights are get stronger based on the damage you take. And that there's Cecils up like that do the same, like give you damage. So I sort of want to make like a Cecil Dark Knight deck now. So I might just do that.
I find it a little weird that this is like that they give this action ability to a multiplayable card. Like, I don't know.
Well, like how often do you think you would use it in a game? Maybe like 2-3 times.
I know exactly.
Max,
like
right?
well, I feel like this should be an effect that's on like a named card.
Oh, that's what you mean. Oh, yeah.
Like it's weird that it's on a multiplayable card when I only really want like one of these on my board if I'm playing it. I mean, maybe in commoner again when it's like a 10k and you have 3 of them, that's really obnoxious. But you already have like Mira Gigas, right?
If you're on damage 5, you're not unhappy about playing a 3 CP 11k, right?
Yeah.
So again, I quite like it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. That wraps up Earth.